How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and I've got an update video for you. You see, it's been a minute since I got this. This is the Vosteed RSKAOS, formerly known as the Mayhem. Why they renamed it, they said that they wanted to honor their collaboration with RS Knifeworks, and you know, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to get this opinion out of the way first and foremost, because this is primarily an opinion-based video, just based off of my experience with this knife so far. And, you know, disclaimer, if what you're looking for is a spec sheet based review, I did my first impressions, and I will link it up in the corner. So if that's what you're looking for, great. If you want a review that's based off of my experience with this knife and how I feel about it after getting out of the honeymoon phase, keep watching. So they renamed it, and they renamed it after I bought it, which was weird because I titled that video, you know, the Vosteed Mayhem, and I'll be honest, that kind of annoys me, because the name change I get, tell people during the prototype stage that it's the Mayhem, and then change it and then release it. Okay, whatever. But you go through, you sell a bunch. In fact, you sell out multiple drops with the first release, and then you change it. Like, I've got a sticker that says Mayhem. Okay, Vosteed, why do you do this to me? So I've had this now for, I want to say it's been over a month. Maybe it's been 2 months. Time flies. What makes this knife really, really unique is that it's the first production knife with a compression lock not named Spyderco. And that's cool. It's cool because the compression lock is a really, really good locking mechanism. That Spyderco, they let the patent run out on it, which effectively means that anybody can make a knife with a compression lock. Now, Spyderco being super litigious, or at least that's what word on the street is, a lot of companies just haven't jumped at that opportunity. But as time goes by, just like we saw with the Axis lock, when Benchmade let the patent for the Axis lock run out, we're starting to see flashes of companies using the compression lock. And you know, if you're a Spyderco fan, you probably already know that this is actually closest to the Spyderco smock because it's a button-actuated compression lock. Now, unlike many Spydercos that use the compression lock, this actually is running on bearings, and it actually has titanium handle skills. Spyderco does use titanium in some of their collaboration pieces, but oftentimes you see them do that with knives like you know, like the stovepipe, which is a frame lock. So to see this is kind of like what we've been wanting Spyderco to do for a while. We've got a compound grind, which a lot of people disagree with because of this finger choil or sharpening choil, whatever you want to call it. This one has the Wharncliffe blade, black with the gold hardware. M390 on the blade. Nice half-length backspacer. It's almost a 3/4 length backspacer. It's nice. Titanium milled pocket clip. T6 body screws, which I have no idea why they did that. T8 pivot, single-sided captive, running on bearings. Deployment hole, flipper tab. Fantastic action, guys. So this is a knife that I really, really, really like a lot. In fact, it's quite possibly one of my favorite knives to be released this year. And it's a shame because it seems like a lot of people did their first impressions and reactions to this knife, and then it died and we didn't hear anything about it. Which is, it's a shame. Whether you get the sheep's foot version or the Wharncliffe version, I'm here to tell you that it's fantastic. It indexes really well. The balance is supreme. The blade shape is awesome. Now, I do know that some people really hate this secondary grind, and I hear some people call that secondary plunge grind, but it's not. This is based off of the RS Knifeworks Mayhem. the custom version from RS Knifeworks. And that one didn't have this finger cutout here, but it did have this compound grind with a super deep hollow grind up front and then a thicker hollow grind on the back. Maybe you call that a dual grind. I don't really care. But that one lacked this finger cutout. Now, something that reviewers like myself always complain about, we always kind of bitch about, is not being able to choke up on the knife, right? And so Vosteed said, you know what, let's add in a cutout right there so you can choke up on it. And oh yeah, it'll also help with the sharpening life of that edge. Now, when they did that, it severely shortened this compound grind because, on a typical dual grind like this, the thicker part is going to be greater for wedging into things. It's going to be a beefier part of the edge, whereas the thinner part is going to be better for slicing. And I especially like having it, man, that was close. Just sliced a tiny sliver off my finger. Don't worry, no blood. But this is very utilitarian. Now, I do know that you can, of course, get this reground with a full hollow, and it's not my deal, okay? I really like this knife for what it stands for. It stands for a company in the knife community saying, you know what? Knowing that Spyderco is litigious, we're still going to do it because they let the patent run out. This is our time. And this is also on the heels of Vosteed having the whole spine whack, button lock, gate situation where you could lightly tap a Vosteed button lock with the traditional button and it would fold. Yeah, I experienced that. I'm not really big on that. I actually did release some opinions about that whole thing. Feel free to dig through my library if you want to see my thoughts on it. And I know directly after that happened, it made me think, what's the best button lock? And it turned out that I felt like the best button lock wasn't a button lock at all, or at least as we knew it. It was the Spyderco Smock with this button actuated compression lock. Now, most people would classify a button lock as a plunge lock. Button lock, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is anytime you can press a button and engage or disengage that lock, that is a button lock. So if you want to know my definition, that's what it is. But in this case, I would definitely consider this to be a button lock. And I think that this was a direct shot at all those people that said that Vosteed made weak button locks, because they said, you know what, button lock definitely won't fail the spine whack test. It's the compression lock. Now, I'm being very candid. I want to be clear about this. I think that Vosteed does a phenomenal job. They've been absolutely crushing it all year. In fact, every single one of these drops has sold out every single time it's dropped. And they've done several. They've done several of these drops, okay? And they've all been successful. And not just this knife, but other models as well. And they deserve a boatload of credit because they've done a great job not only marketing, but also designing and making sure that the manufacturing is up to par. Vosteed, I'm pretty sure, has Kaiser do their OEM work, and Kaiser is a phenomenal Chinese manufacturer. If you're wondering what country of origin this is, yes, it is in fact made in China. If you care about that, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments section down below, but I'm here to tell you that I'm so glad that this knife is available because it's awesome. It is quite literally one of my favorite knives that I've handled this year. And that's saying a lot because I've also handled knives like this Chavez Redemption 229 kickstop, which I think is bananas cool. It's stupidly cool. And I've also carried knives like the Riot XOM, which is another knife that I think is supremely cool. Needless to say, it's had some competition this year. 2023 has been the year of the knife, and I've said it a lot. But for me, from a user aspect, it's a lock that's stronger than a plunge lock. It's a brave design because it uses a compression lock. Granted, they do call it the top liner lock. It's a compression lock, guys. But they dared to go into waters that other companies said, no, you go first. No, you go first. Okay, Vosteed, you go first. And they did, and they crushed it. They absolutely crushed it. Now, these have been available on and off. If you want one, I highly suggest keeping an eye on websites like White Mountain Knives, because I know that here in the month of September 2023, we should actually see a White Mountain Knives exclusive in LMAX. So if you like LMAX, and I like LMAX, definitely check them out. But I'd also be willing to bet that that's not going to be the only exclusive that you see for this model. This is the most premium knife that Vosteed has ever come out with. Shout out to RS Knife Works for making a fantastic design in the Mayhem. Shout out to Vosteed for having the courage to make it a compression lock, the first non-Spyderco compression lock. But seriously, Vosteed, don't do that again. Don't rename a knife after you release it. That's just bad form. That's right. I'm opinionated. I'm probably not making any friends over there at Vosteed by saying that stuff, but it's my opinion. I'm not sponsored by Vosteed. They've never sent me anything. So that's just my raw, unfiltered, uncut opinion. But I'm interested in your raw, unfiltered, uncut opinion. What do you think of the RSKAOS or the Mayhem? I just want to call it the Mayhem. Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you like this video and you want to see more reviews, more awesome knife content, make sure you click on the video that pops up next.